But I want to start at the very point that you don't want to talk about, which of course is how you left Japan and came to Lebanon. I know you're not going to give me any details, but can you say if the rumours and suggestions are substantially true about the way it happened? You know the rumours, you know the suggestions. Are they basically true?
There are many rumors, and they are not all in line with one the other. I'm going to tell you something. For example, at the beginning they said that there is a band which came to my house in Tokyo for Christmas, and this band somehow was a kind of a rehearsal. Then I went into the box. They took me from the house, etc. The whole story is wrong. Why? Because the prosecutor now went to my apartment. There is a monitoring of all the people who are in the house, and they said no.
So I'll clarify. The rumor and suggestion I'm talking about involves a train trip to Osaka, a hotel, a box, and a flight in 2 private jets via Turkey. Is that substantially accurate?
I will make no comment on this. I'm going to tell you why, Richard. Because obviously I was lucky to have people who supported me in this. Because, when you are in a situation where you're in trouble with justice, you don't have too much candidate to help you. I was lucky, and I need to, as much as possible, protect them.
Right. Those people, some of them are facing criminal proceedings, potentially, in Turkey. How do you feel about that?
I feel bad about it.
But there's not much more you can do, really, is there?
Well, we knew from the beginning what are the risks, involved into an operation like this. We all knew that. I knew what were my risks. I knew what are the risks of all the people who supported the operation. So we all knew that, and we obviously know how much we can do to help, but not more.
Okay, what about Mr. Kelly, who remains in jail, he's on bail, I beg your pardon, in Japan? There's a sort of feeling of you got out and he's left behind to carry the can.
Well, first, I was not able, as you know, in Japan to contact Greg. I was forbidden completely. My bail condition and his bail condition forbidding completely any contact between us. So the only contact possible was through our lawyers. So even if I wanted to help Greg, I couldn't. Because there was no contact.
But is there a feeling, can you understand the feeling that you've left him behind to face the music alone?
I'm not sure about that, because I didn't leave Japan to hide somewhere. I left Japan because I'm looking for justice and I want to clear my name, which means I would be looking for a country where I could have this case tried, but with a trial respecting the rights of the defense.
So to clarify this, you are willing to stand trial for these allegations?
Yes, I do.
And have you had discussions with jurisdictions yet as to where that might be?
No, because you can imagine that if I'm in Japan and I start to discuss this kind of topic, this would attract the attention.
But would you accept that any trial would have to be under Japanese law, in the sense of that's the law that you broke? Maybe the system of justice that delivers it would be different. I'm thinking of there's a good precedent you may be familiar with, of course, the Lockerbie bomber, who was tried in The Hague under Scottish law. Is that the sort of thing you're thinking of?
No, I'm thinking about, depending on the country where this will take place, every country would accept a different kind of trial. The only thing I'm looking for is a trial where the rules or the rights of the defense would be respected, which I thought in Japan was not the case.
One thing seems clear is that you are regarded as a fugitive by others in the world. And that's not going to change, is it?
Well, you have to explain. People don't like fugitive when the fugitive is escaping justice. It's a different opinion when a fugitive is escaping injustice. I don't think that people look at people who run from North Korea or from Vietnam or from Russia under the communist regime as people who are running from justice. Well, frankly, I can tell you that in the system in which I've been through, I considered that there was practically zero chance I would get a fair trial. With zero chance of getting a fair trial, I don't think this is justice. I was not running from justice. I was looking for justice.
At what point did you decide you'd have to go?
A few weeks ago, and what led me to that first is that everything I was seeing in the pre-trial was leading to the fact that the trial would not be fair. Second, I was hoping that they will fix the date of the trial. It was not fixed. Until now, I don't know. Greg Kelly doesn't know when these trials start. 13 months after we've been arrested. And third, the ban on my wife, which really was something that I could not understand. For 9 months, I can see her, I can talk to her, and they told me that this may continue for another 1.5 years.
And you then decided that was it?
It's too much. It's too much.
Do you accept that you broke the Japanese law in leaving that way?
I accept the fact that I broke the Japanese law by leaving this way, yes.
The Japan has already, you may have already heard, today they've said, the prosecutor said, as a result of your press conference here, that you failed to justify your act, you were deemed a flight risk, which indeed you were because you fled, and his one-sided criticism of the Japanese justice system is totally unacceptable.
It's laughable. It's laughable. I've been under their control for all this time. I had zero right. They put on me bail conditions which are very strict. I didn't have a phone. I could not go on the internet. I couldn't see my wife. I was monitored all the time. I had followers all the time. So in a certain way, when they have a suspicion on somebody, what they would like is to keep him in prison until he is judged.
One ends up with this feeling of you can't pick and choose the laws you like.
No, I'm sure.
You can't pick and choose the jurisdictions you like.
I'm sure. I don't. But and I'm not picking. The only thing is I don't want to be a system where there is no justice.
Turn them to the allegations. You gave a very full-throated defense of those allegations today. What is it that you did that so angered the people in Japan that, in your view, prosecutor and company colluded?
Sure.
What did you do?
Well, they didn't like the fact that I was ready to act on part of the management because of the decline of the performance of the company.
Fire
That's
the
number
CEO
one.
of Nissan.
That's it. The second one is they didn't like the fact that I was going to create a holding company that would create one company, one share, one board, but still keeping the autonomy of Nissan and the autonomy of Renault intact. They didn't like the system. And they said, why do we have to make this kind of concession? Let's get rid of the guy and then we'll keep our organization the way it is. And frankly, they were successful in doing that.
But when you hear of the allegations, the houses, the planes, do you think you, to use the phrase, you pushed the boat a bit far? You took advantage of the system?
Absolutely not. Well, everybody was happy that I was CEO of 3 companies. But being CEO of 3 companies means extensive use of the plane. It means that your private life is reduced to the minimum. And from time to time, when you're able to have a moment for you, is very limited. And all of the things. So everybody was happy when I was managing the 3 companies. And then all of a sudden, all the suspicion came. By the way, everything about the plane, everything about the houses is not in the charges. That means the charges in Japan have nothing to do with that. The charges in Japan are about underreporting compensation that were not fixed, they were not decided, and they were not paid.
But you were going to get that money in the future?
Not sure. Not sure.
It was the intention.
Well, it was my intention, but it's not because you have the intention to get something that it is going to happen.
How bad was it in prison there?
Oh, very bad.
I mean, Japan is a G7 country. It is a, for want of a better word, Western-style democracy. The companies, I mean, are fated around the world. You're telling me this is all not true, or that at least there's a major deficiency when it comes to the legal system.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a big contrast between the modernity of Japan when it comes to industry, when it comes to trade, when it comes to technology, and when it comes to the legal system. In my opinion, the legal system is archaic. You know, they have the death penalty over there. They're very proud of it. They told me during the discussion that they're very proud to have the death penalty. They have a system by which you can be interrogated by the prosecutor without presence of a lawyer.
And were you interrogated for long periods of time?
Oh, I mean, I spent in prison 130 days. From the 130 days, I was practically interrogated half of the time. And it's up to 8 hours of interrogation, very late at night, and that's it.
With no lawyer?
No lawyer.
When did you ever feel like you were going to confess?
That's what they want me.
Oh, I know. I heard you say in the end,
well,
just confess.
We have the
just
tapes.
confess.
And, yeah, just confess and you'll be relieved. And just confess and we're not going to bother your wife. Just confess, we're not going to bother your children. It was clear. It's in the tape.
But did you ever think about doing that?
Never. Because I didn't trust them. I didn't trust them. I didn't trust them that they would stop doing this. I didn't trust them that you would get any bailout. I didn't trust them. I think they were not here to establish the truth. They were here to establish a strong case to their favor. You don't get 99.4% of conviction rate, Richard, by being a nice guy and following all the rules. You get 99.4% of conviction rate with no deal. With no deal. In the United States, conviction rate is very high, but in the United States, you can make a deal. You know, people say, okay, you're guilty, I'm going to give you a reduction of this, a reduction of that. Not in Japan.
Would you have made a deal?
Well, depends what the deal is.
But I mean, well, what I'm saying is, you know, the accusation...
Well, at least you're going to listen to what deal. There is no deal over there. There is absolutely no deal. So you have, when you say you have 99.4% of conviction rate, there was no deal. With no deal, that means they win 99.4% of the time, which makes the prosecutor absolutely remarkable people and the defense absolutely not smart, people not very smart.
So to the idea that there's no smoke without fire, to the idea that, oh, come on, Carlos must have been up to something.
I know. That means
he was living high on the corporate dollar.
Yeah. Well, you know, frankly, that means this is as old as the world exists. You know, if you want to lie on somebody and want to destroy a reputation, you launch a lot of accusations and say something's going to stick.
Two more areas to talk about. So you make it to Lebanon, and the country's in turmoil.
Yes.
It's seeking a government.
Yeah.
It's looking for leadership.
Yeah.
Straightforward, Carlus. Would you accept some role in the Lebanese government?
No.
You say that now.
I see it now, I see it before, and I'll see it in the future. I'm not interested in the political career. I'm ready to put my competence and my know-how helping politicians succeed, but I'm not interested in political career.
So let's be clear. If you were invited to be president, you'd say no. If the president asked you to make a cross-party government, you'd say no.
Exactly.
Will it feel like you're in a very pleasant sort of prison being here? You can't go anywhere except maybe to France or Brazil, and you'd have difficulty getting to both, and you'd be taking an enormous personal risk.
Yeah.
So would you take that risk? Would you go to France?
Well, depends for what. Depends for what. Depends what is the perspective. You know, obviously you're telling me my situation today is not perfect, it's not ideal. I agree with you. But it has to be compared to my situation before. My situation before was being practically in prison, in a different prison, in Japan, out without my friends, without my family, without my community, where you don't speak the language, etc. So this is the situation. So now I'm in Lebanon, where it's a country that I like, where I have friends, I have family. So yes, I may be constrained to Lebanon for a while, but I'm intending to eliminate.
You say for a while in a sort of tantalizing way, as if there's a plan.
Sure. I know I can challenge the red notice of Interpol. I can challenge it. I have the right to challenge it. And I'm going to challenge it because I think this case is political.
I want to finish off, because I know time is running out, talking about the alliance. The alliance that you put together, it's virtually falling apart.
It's true.
That suggests it could only stay together with the dictator Carlos gone.
I don't think so. First, I don't think a dictator could have made the alliance. I don't think so. I think a dictator would have not been able to create a space where people can come together even though they are coming from different countries with different culture. This requires a lot of skills in terms of negotiation, persuading people to come to the table because it was their own interest. So a dictator would not have been able to do that. Now let me go to the second thing. Yes, the alliance is not going well. It's not because I am indispensable, but I think the methods which are being used today in the alliance are absolutely not efficient. And that's what worries me.
I realize, the alliance is your life's work professionally. Is there just not even a scintilla of schadenfreude at the way in which they've got themselves into a mess? Nissan's profits down so heavily. Renault failed to pick up Fiat Chrysler. Mitsubishi hasn't turned around. Don't you just isn't there just a moment when you say, well, got rid of me and look what you ended up with?
Without any doubt, many people said we want to turn the gone page. Well, they turned the gone page, except that what was the gone page? The gone page was profit, growth, strategic dynamism, technological innovation, and alliance that works. Well, today when we look at the situation, yes, they turned the page. There is no more profit, the growth is down, there is no more technical innovation, there is no more strategic initiative, or the only strategic initiative was Fiat Chrysler, which was lost, and the alliance not working.
What was the moment like for you when you realized you had escaped? Different people will pass judgment, moral and legal, upon what you have done. That is something you will have to bear your conscience.
Yes.
Till death. But for you, that moment when I want to go through two sections of it. The moment when you started the execution of the plan, during, and at the end. Tell me.
Yeah. Let me put you, I'm going to tell you exactly what situation I am. I never seen somebody escaping the prison in Vietnam who had any bad feeling about doing that. Why? Because he was a hostage, and he was not fleeing the rule of law in Vietnam. He said, I'm a hostage, I'm here to be punished, I have no fair trial, and I'm escaping. So I'm in the same situation. I'm not feeling bad because somehow I put myself outside the control of people who want me to put me in prison independently of the truth.
But were you nervous?
Oh yes, I was nervous.
Did you fear it was going to go wrong?
I was anxious, but I was not afraid for a very simple reason is, frankly, I had nothing to lose. That means the situation for me in Japan was so bad, and my perspective was so dark, and the fact that I lost any face of having a fair trial, that this encouraged me to decide to leave Japan.
And the moment, humour me,
yeah.
The moment the plane is in international space and you pretty much know it's going to land in Lebanon, what was that moment like?
Well, as you know, it was not going to land in Lebanon, it was going to land somewhere else. But I felt,
but then after that?
I felt relieved. Yes, I felt relieved. And you know, the first thought I had is, finally, I'm going to be able to see my wife. That's my first thought.
I'm just going to go for this and hope that you'll give me an answer. What was it like in the packing case?
No comment. Look, freedom, no matter the way it happens, is always sweet.